Okay. How's it going? Welcome back. Who's not a sport? So, I'm doing another live stream. We're going to talk about this project that I was working on Unreal Engine 5. It's This live stream is really more for me than it is for my audience or for you. It's really just a reference for me. So if I ever want to come back to this or continue this project or have a game design or just do something different, I know how the code works. I've done it before. I have just a notebook that I can go to and I can watch and I can see how I did it and explain to myself what's going on here. So that's the point of this stream. It's really just for me than it is for others. I just want to say, this was meant to be a learning project, so it's very not complete at all. It was meant to really learn Unreal Engine 5 because I think I'm good and know my way around Unity really well, but I don't know my way around Unreal Engine. So I wanted to see what I could do. And this project was inspired by Metal Gear. So I want to create see like if I could create like a very simple sort of Metal Gear Solid uh type of game, a third person game. I always wanted to do that. And I definitely kind of did. I learned some lessons and I and some things that I would do differently. Uh so we're going to be talking about that. And then when it comes to my next project that I want to get started after this relatively soon, I'm going to do it in Unity just because with Unity, the problems I ran into with this project is that uh, there's not a lot of resources out there to just learn Unreal Engine. Um, I also want to really improve my coding skills and my thought process with coding. So, and I just didn't know how to like implement C++ really into it. I tried a lot. I tried doing the gameplay ability system and implementing that for a while, and then I just kind of gave up it because I actually wanted to like work and try and make a little project within Unreal. Um, and I did, but Unreal, I think it's the more powerful of the two. You can definitely do some really crazy stuff and make some really cool looking stuff if you know how to really utilize the coding aspect of it. But if you're just using blueprints, I think it makes some really bad habits. Uh, and it also you lose a lot of control with blueprints. I feel like where with Unity, you kind of gotta start from scratch, and with Unity you uh develop I think a lot of better habits, and you can have a lot more control over every single aspect of your game. So that's kind of why what I think of the two, but I definitely like both for different reasons. Um, where there's just certain aspects in Unreal, like editing geometry and stuff like that, is just miles ahead of Unity. So they both excel at different things, and they both decel at other things. So that one more thing we're gonna talk about, a shout out so to the dude who like really helped me in the tutorials that I was following to make these videos. So this dude right here, Mad Aspland, Aspland, yeah. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. So this dude right here is like a great learning source for Unreal for me. He taught me like I pretty much looked at most of his tutorials for this video or how to fix problems for this video. He has so many good sources on how to make a game and how to do things within Unreal Engine and Unreal Engine 5. So definitely check him out if you want to learn this program. I think he's a great place to start for very specific things, like if you want to do a health bar or whatever. Now, let's note. Okay. Here we go. Uh, so let's start just by playing the game, and I can explain what it is. Like I said, it was an Unreal Engine game. Um, Kind of based off Metal Gear. So I made this character. You can run around with him. You can crouch with him. You can aim with him. You can shoot with him. You can die. You have your health bar in the top left. You can also gather XP to level up, and every time you level up, increases your health bar. These are kind of the test things for it. And then, other than that, I have AI that chases you and shoots you, and it should deal damage to me. Yeah, they do. And then once there's no game over or anything. But once that reaches 0, it's dead. And I can also like lose aggro with these AI. Right. So that's the game in a nutshell. Um, Also, one last thing, you can go prone and kind of hide under things as well, and then you come out of it, uh, and you're good. So cool, right? So I learned all that, and I think this is some very very positives on how to learn things. Think of like third person camera things, some positives that I learned, the EXP system, life gain system, just like nodes, how to use blueprints a lot. I learned that. Uh, that really helped. Uh, some problems that I had. Third person games, I could see why people don't really make them as much. They're very hard. If you don't have animations, were probably my biggest block and hurdle. Whereas I was just getting blocked by animations and just animations being janky. You could see that with like I really wanted to have like standing to crouched prone or standing to prone or crouch to standing and all those, but I just didn't have the animations to do so at all. So animations really stopped me, and that's kind of why one of the reasons I decided to stop and going on to a different project, because you can get these animations off Mixamo, but I'm retargeting them to the Unreal uh skeleton or Unreal character, and I was having a lot of problems with that. And some of these animations, don't look well, they don't fit well because they're not customly made and they're not my own. So that's one little issue I found into. And then the second one that's really stopped me to abandon this, move on with a different project, is AI. I think AI right now is all in like their own kind of script, but I think the smart thing to do and what you would want to do with in terms of making AI in Unreal Engine is to use their AI behavior system, um, which is basically like an AI state machine, and you do that instead to kind of customize and make the AI. And I didn't do that at first because I was following the dude's tutorials. There's certain features that I wanted on the AI, and he just did it in AI. These are very, very simple AI. And I think if I was doing something differently, I would just do one project that completely just focuses on AI in Unreal Engine and just focuses on trying to improve that. And then another project that just focuses on the character, getting the character mechanics, getting the character animations really smooth. And this project's kind of like both in between, and it's the two of them. So those are the kind of the issues that I ran into um, with this project, and why I've kind of decided to move on, because I have actually, funny enough, the chat GDP or GTG or whatever, the bot AI gave me a really cool idea that I've been sitting on for about a week or now, that I want to do in Unreal Engine, that I think could be really cool. And I really want to double down and try and do that, because again, I think it's a lot easier to stay motivated and learn in Unreal Engine, because there's a lot more tutorials and just things out there to teach you how to uh, make the game. And there's a larger community around it to help you build out your projects as well than Unreal. But if you are like a C++ master, then I think Unreal is good. So we said that already. So now let me end. Sorry, these are just timestamps for me, so we can so I know we're doing. So let's talk about the character first. So this is the character blueprint. It is the most complicated blueprint out of all of them. And I'm gonna break it down for each and every portion of the character blueprint. So the viewport. Let's look at the viewpoint. So we have two cameras here. One camera is the first person camera. That's triggers when I go into prone, right? Or not really. I don't think what triggers goes in prone, but one's the third person camera and one's the first person camera. And I think if I hit V, yeah, it goes into first person. So this is just like a feature that I added because again, it's inspired by Metal Gear, and Metal Gear has or at least the newer ones do have a first person and a third person setting. So these are the camera. So this is the first person camera. These are its settings. This is the second person's camera. This is also its settings. I'm going slow enough. And then the camera boom. I don't think I didn't touch this too much. Really, you look at this for certain reasons later on. But this basically controls kind of like where the third person camera is away from the character and make sure it doesn't clip. Then from there I have the actual character mesh. I'm using the new Manny. The physics, the colliders, everything's cool. Just like that. Nothing too crazy. I have the pistol and AR blueprint attached to it. So we have a pistol and AR. These are the guns. We're going to go over those custom blueprints later. Really, they're just here for references and just so the character has the mesh. They're invisible for a certain reason. And then we have hitboxes for the hands for punching. And a lot of this stuff you can find again in like that dude's videos. If you kind of search like that dude, search like punching, you can find like tutorials, and this is how I figured it out. And then the character movement too. Nothing too crazy here. The event graph, let's break it down. So this is the shoot function. I went about this a couple ways. First off, but this is the best way that I did it because of automatic weapons. Because I wanted it to fire, full auto, and I couldn't do that in the old system. So I had to this took me a while to kind of implement to get it just right. So if you look at their kind of default first person shooter system, Unity has this or Unreal, my bad. Unreal has this like call event function where what it is that when you press the button, it calls this like special event dispatcher called I named it on use item, right? So it uses on use item, and on use item is right here. So I have a one to call it, and then I made another one to end it, and then I made a second one. And those are being used in a different script, really. It's to tell the other script just to fill that in. And I like this way a lot. It's very simple from I think a lot of the tutorials that you'll find on Unreal, but it's very complicated. So let's just walk through this now that we have that. So if I press the button, it will go to this branch. It will check to see if I am aiming or not. So I have to be aiming. Aiming is a boolean. It's so if aiming is true, then it will continue. If it's false, then it won't do anything. So how does it check while aiming is true? Well, I have this script down here. This is for the right mouse button, and if I press this, then it will go to this branch. It will check if I'm prone or not, and if I'm prone, then it won't let me aim. If I'm not prone, it will let me aim. It's the same thing. It's a if statement essentially. Uh, and then if it's false, so I'm not prone, then aiming is set to true. It will set the visibility of the reticle, so that's the UI. It will reduce the walk speed, so that's the character's movement, and then you get max speed, it reduces it. And then it will set play rate to aim down sights. So this is the time, the animation, so the smooth animation, so that when I aim, the camera zooms in like that. That's essentially what that is. That should be located. Downside. This is why I want to do it, so I can see. Yeah, so here it is. Here's the component, aim down sights. It's literally just a I forget what they're called, a timeline, I believe it's what it's called. And then those are the values. And it's a timeline for the camera. But it's getting that. It's getting a reference of that. And it's putting it there. But that's located in a different part of this script, I believe. So it's aiming down sights and then it's playing it. And this is the time that it's playing it. Use controller rotation yaw. So this makes it so that the camera actually like follows it. So like I can't like the camera doesn't like roll around it like you would see in an MMO. It's actually like makes it locked, I believe. So here's the actual aim. Yeah, so here it is. So here's the aim down sight timeline, and that plugs in to a float, which is the same timing. This is the camera boom, and then it goes into a offset, and that's how you get. Oh, now I'm opening third C++ scripts by accident. And that's the whole aiming function. Basically, what it does is the first part checks to see if I am aiming. It sets up the reticle right here. It lowers the camera movement, and then it adds the camera zoom and gets it smooth and it locks in the camera. And that's what the top row does, and the bottom row, all that does is it just like when I releases it, it just reverses it. So it checks if I'm prone. If it's false, then then is aim equals false. It now hides the UI. It sets the walking speed back to normal. It reverses the play rate. Use controller awe is now unchecked, so now it doesn't do that. Now I should be able to rotate my camera all the way around him like in an MMO or third person, and then it just reverses it, timeline, finishes it. And that's the check to see if it is aiming, right? So let's go back to shoot. So shoot, now that we've finished that, to see that if it's aiming, we will go to equipment. So this now it checks to see which equipment is using, and basically it's assigned by this is 1 and this is 2. So equipment is signed. It's signed, I believe, here. So this is the inventory array. So blueprint, the pistol is 0, and the AR assault rifle is 1, and it goes into the gun inventory, and then it shows the equipped gun and then that's also assigned here in the event begin play. So that's the inventory system, and that's essentially it. Is putting in an array, and we are checking to see which one is in that array on equipped, which is there a way just to like show it? It's an integer essentially. Equipped, I believe, is in this function. Um, so this is the equip gun function. Oh my bad. So let's take a step back real quick. So you have your two weapons. So these are references to these right here. If I just drag this in, it's a reference. So it's the same thing, right? And it goes into array and it goes into the gun inventory. Then it goes into this function, which has an array. So in this function, where it loops each loop and it will set the visibility to invisible. The array, it gets the equipped, it will set the visibility of the gun, and then it will attach it to the player model. And that's essentially it. So that's the inventory system. That's how I got different guns. You can add more, of course, but I only wanted one or two. Again, that's another avenue that I think if I explored and did it correctly, it would be a lot better. So it gets the first gun with number one, which is the AR. And then if that's true, so if you have that, then it will go to this event. But if it's false, then it'll just use the normal call on use item, which is just like the normal shoot. So that's pretty much that. And you can simplify this. So if you got rid of this, it would just be like normal shooting. So now we're gonna get into how I got it to like loop like infinitely. Done. Right back. I muted. Ooh, shit. No. Oh, I was muted. Whatever. Anyway, what I was saying with this system is I can't explain it as well, because there's probably a better way of doing it in my head, and I'm not too if I did some research, I would explain it better. But basically, it gets the mouse wheel and it just scrolls through the array of the weapon list. And to quickly go over all this again, so this is the prone. The prone, it checks to see it has whether something's above you or not with a line trace. It checks to see whether you're prone or not, or getting up or not. It plays the animation, and it lowers your hitbox. It lowers your capsule size, and that's how it does this. This is all just setting your location. I kind of already showed it off. You could just copy it, but like just explain it. That's what you're doing. Sprint gets your shift key, makes your maximum speed better or slower when you release it. This is crouch. Basically, it crouches. The Unreal function, I think it's in Unreal. This is flip flop. This is a toggle. And this is to see whether it's true or not for animation purposes later down the line. And then those tie into the other systems as well. Oh, and then this stuff in the middle is very standard. This is, I didn't touch this at all. This came with the with the project. All right. Oh, that's tragic. That so 45 10 H. So this is probably the most complicated one in this script, or in this blueprint. There's a lot of different moving parts to it. I know I got it again from the man I referenced beforehand. He should have a couple tutorials on it. If you search his name, find it. But it basically what it does is it's letting me change the health bar color, as you see in like the top left. When I get hit, it changes colors and gets it and heals up. So that's what that does. So what it's doing is it's getting the health variable. So this is how much health the player has, um, which is 100 in this case, right, 100 HP. It then grabs these greater or lesser than nodes to check what is greater or lesser than, to see like where you are within the HP, and it does calls this event called check health consistently. So what check health does is it branches, and it checks like which one of these numbers I believe is. It will do it once, and it will reset. It will call this function reset, or call these custom events reset HP color, and then these right here are the actual colors. And then at the end, it changes that to here. So that's kind of the flow of it. So we'll start with check health. Or does check health not have its own custom event? Or this is the custom event. So that's and you do that, like these are all like moving parts. So here it is again. Is this checking the HP color? And they're checking the value of each HP, adding together. It's checking if or not, and then it is setting the color, and it's setting the fill color as well. So like again, so we could say this is set HP color at start. So that's what this is doing at the start of the game. It sets the HP colors. This is what updates it. Um, and this is like the animation of the colors to make sure it changes correctly. So that's really it. It's just 3 kind of big moving parts to see. So this is what sets it up at the start. This is what's updating it and the colors, and this is what is making it have a smooth transition. And these are just these are just color variables. I'm pretty sure you can they're all here. You just make their own color variables, and you just put it in, and then you drag and drop it, or you set it. Like I have here, these are the actual colors and set, and then they update it here, the new color, and then it changes it. So that's how I did the color HP, which is actually a feature I really like. I think if I did it in other sorts of games, I would definitely add this to any other games that I did that have a health bar, because I really like that, having that change colors, and I think it looks cool, just like old Metal Gear did. That was the point of this. What else can we go over? Don't really want to go over that till we touch AI. Let's just go over other UI stuff. So at 50, 20 UI. So we have the HP UI bar. So this is what it's doing is it's creates a health widget. This is how you just create or get UI and tie it to in Unreal. It creates a health widget. It's creating a reference to the health widget. It's getting the max health and the health, and then it's adding it to the viewport. It's the same thing for these over here. It's creating a ammo. It's creating the ammo widget. It's getting a reference. It's adding it to viewport. Crosshair, getting the crosshair, getting a reference, adding it to viewport. It's creating the detection, getting a reference, adding it to viewport. So it's all the same for UI stuff. And how I did that is that, well, each different UI, there's a different widget for it. So there's an ammo one. This is the ammo one. It has a text block, so that's the text. And then it should have I didn't get this to work because I was bugging out, but it should do it to both of them, but it does it to one of them. So once you get the text, right, and you make your canvas, then I believe I set it to the visibility to hidden. Make sure no one can see it in game unless you have the gun. Yes, it should have a function to it. So after you get the text, you want to add a binding to it. Here's the binding. So here, if I go to binding, I have get text. The event graph. Event has a sequence. It's getting the class, so it's getting a reference of the blueprint. It's casting it to the pistol, so it's making a reference of the pistol blueprint. Essentially, that's what it's doing. And then get text 0. It is is this the reference? This is the text or the binding, and this is the end of it. It is getting the current mag and target mag. These are all based in the reference. And then in format text, if you do these little bracket square offs and you add the argument right here, which is mag and max ammo, and I tie it in, well, then I get the correct thing. So on the bottom right, it now shows the ammo. I can reload it, and it will show the correct one, and that's essentially what it's doing. But it's again, I couldn't really get it properly to work, so it's broken when I switch to the assault rifle. I think a better kind of example of this as we go in. This is the detection one. It's literally just a progress bar of, again, it should also have a binding. Yes, if I switch to graph, yes. Okay, that's the button I was looking for originally. So the detection bar, it has a couple things. It has a character reference to it. So this is the character reference, and it's getting the character, and then rotate UI relative to player in AI. So it gets the character reference, it gets the AI reference. It's locating both of them. Fine look at rotation, and it's rotating them. And then this event pick is the progress bar, and it will fill up based off of this color, I believe. So if I fill capacity, yes, and this is the percentage right there that fills it up. And really, all you do is you set these when you start it. You click, and then you create new bind. And that will create a new one for you. That's how you do that. But that's how I did that. This is all the code for that script. And then last one is the health widget, or the second last one, the health widget. This one's a little bit more complicated because I have to figure out the exact spot for the health bar to be in. Again, like also again, the whole color stuff is tied to the color of the health bar, so you don't have to really care about that too much. It has a character reference. It has 2 functions to it. One function just sets the health, so it displays the health. And the second one is for the color nodes of it, to change the colors of it. So, and just so I know too. Okay. I just want to make sure that I'm getting everything at least on video, so I'm not missing anything for the future. But this is, again, the character reference gets the health. It's checking the same health value. Again, it looks familiar. Fill opacity, this is the fill bind. Branch, it checks to see which health condition it's at, and then based off what it was, is that it will change the color of it. So that's that. And then this is the track the total health. So if you don't want the whole fill color stuff, you don't need this. Really, all you need is just this. Those are variables made, and you get those variables from, and this is the character reference. And then the last one is the reticle, which I don't think has anything fancy. I think it's literally just an image. It's dot. If I go into the graph, yeah, it doesn't have anything to it, because it's just turning that on. So that's that. That's all. That's pretty much all the UI in a nutshell. Let's get into health. So health can be very, very simple. Start with the checking real quick. We'll start with the damage system. So Unreal now has its own like kind of damage event caller. Uh, and this is again a more complicated version of doing it. Really, all you need is like health. And again, the dude has like tons of videos on just how to do this. This is the complicated version. And I think this is the version you want to do. I think when you really, really make a game, it's the easiest to do. It's not hard at all. It's super straightforward to understand. Um, so this event any damage function is basically Unity's damage function. So whenever you other scripts do like damage or deal damage to the player, it's calling this function, referring to this, and the damage is now so the damage is getting applied to the health, which is 100, so it's getting subtracted. I mean, and then it's getting the value of the subtracted. So let's say it's 100 minus, so this is 100. Let's say we take 50 damage. Now this is 50, so the value goes, it's getting clamped. But the max clamp is the max health, right? So now this is what's dealing damage to it. So this is to make sure 0, the minimum is 0. So when you hit 0, you have no health left, right? So it's clamping it and it's adding it to the health again. So now that's your true health. So this health is replacing this health. And then it's setting this health. This is to get the widgets, and now updating the UI. And then if it's this, so if the health is equal to 0, which means you're dead, then this condition is true, which means you play a sound. This would be the death sound, which means your is dead equals true. And it's checking the health function, which is here again to update the HP color, and that's all it's doing. So in reality, like this last node doesn't really matter. This doesn't really matter. This doesn't really matter, and all you're looking at is really like right here, where it's dealing damage. Where it's dealing damage, it's doing the math, so it's subtracting it from your max health. It's then updating your max health, then updating the UI. It's then seeing if you're dead or not, and then if you're dead, then it's game over. If you're not dead, then it's going and updates the color. That's what this is doing, and there's much more simple ways of doing it, but this is the way I like doing it. This is it. Um, I think it works. Is dead is just my own little personal function to make sure like is the player dead or not. Well, so is dead not, it's not dead. That's the condition. If it's not true, which it's not true, then it just keeps updating. But if it is true, then it's false. Then it just ends, right? Because you can't do anything. So that's the damage system and the health system kind of in one. The next is the healing system. This is how we get the players back up. So it's just the opposite. So I have its own function with the input of heal value. That's how much you're getting healed for. It's checking again. Is dead is equals true? Well, it's not true. And what's your health and your max health not equal? That's the condition. So if it's true, then it updates then it adds the health, and whatever the heal value is, see it's taking the health and it's adding that. It's clamping it again for the max health to make sure that it doesn't go over. It's updating the UI, it's playing a sound, and then it's checking the changing the color again. And that's basically the heal. And the heal function heal test is this where what it is doing is it is on overlap. So when the third person blueprint is casting, so when the player overlaps with this object's hitbox, it heals the player for 50. That's the heal value. And where is this located? Right? Where is the script located? Well, it's located right here. So what it's doing is that when the player comes in contact with the hitbox, it just calls all this code. And that's basically healing. Very, very simple. Again, you don't have to have the max health or anything. It can just be like 100, and then you just keep subtracting that to 0. It's all math, but I like having the max health because then I can know what kind of comes next. And next is with health, I have this special function that increases the health. So it increases the max health, and that's why I have max health. So there's this function on the character called increase max health, and what it does is that when this function is called, it has an input of max health amount, so that's how much it's increasing it by. It takes the max health, which is set at 100 by default, and it adds the max health amount. It then updates the max health, and then for this, it's just updating the blueprint or the health blueprint. It's setting the render scale, and this is like when things get complicated here, because what it's doing is that this is the simple part. It's just adding to your max health, right? So your max health is getting bigger, which is why we have these clamps to mean that the max health, so the max you can heal is whatever the max health is, and the lowest you can go is 0 because you're dead. That's why these clamps are there. The hard part is the UI. This is UI reference. It's getting the health bar. It is then getting the render scale. It's getting the position. It's getting the vector and the render translation, and again, checking health is it's updating the color. But basically what this does is that now every time I increase my max health, see how the bar moves? And if you look very, very closely on the left side of the bar, it's still moving. That type of code is trying to keep it in place. But it can go like infinitely, essentially, because I have a limit on this. And you can see like the higher it goes up, the more the left side of the bar just keeps moving to the left. Right? Now, obviously, in an actual gameplay setting, I would never like allow it to go that high. But that's essentially what this code is doing. It's trying to give you the illusion that it is still the health bar is still in the same place, even though it's not. Again, there's probably a much better way of doing this. But in the video tutorials, this is what I saw. This is what I liked. This is what works. What we got. Okay. So, health out of the way. That's all the healing stuff. I guess we can go over some of the functions. The equip timestamp real quick. Eight 20. We'll do that. Character do with that. So character functions. This is the equip gun. We already went over that. It is checking to see what equip gun is. It is then rotating an equip gun is right here. It is then is right here. That's the function. Um, it's then checking to see which one is visible or not. And we already did increase max HP. Is generally used for, I use it here, I think. Yes, for the levels. So this is the levels. This is the level code essentially. Again, another script that can be called pretty much anywhere. Basically, it's very similar to HP. So add exp has a input of exp. Is the integer have an output of level, which is over yonder. You have your exp value, so that's how much experience you have, and then it adds the two, so add exp and your exp to exp. This gets updated, and then it will take exp needed, so this is how much you need to level up. In my case, it's 10. It will then do a greater than or equal than, check the condition, and if it's false, then it plays a sound effect. But if it's true, then the level and the exp get added. It goes to exp. This is, and then it will subtract the exp needed. So subtract 10. This gets updated. Exp needed. It will play a sound to indicate that you leveled up, and then it will update the level as well. And then here I see I even type notes. This is how much more exp is needed to level up. So currently you need 20% more exp needed per level up, and this is the max max exp experience you need to level. So the minimum you need is 0. The max you need is 100, and this is, so it just updates this, right? So quick and easy. This is your exp. Once you add exp, it will add it. It will take the how much you need, which is 10. It will see whether it's greater or equal than that. If it's false, then it just plays a sound like, ooh, you got exp, ooh, it's going up. If it's true, then it will level up. So it will take that. So then we'll add your exp to your level. You're now level 1. It will then take the exp and the exp needed. It will subtract it. It will update the exp, which is back to 0, and then it will see how much you need, which is 20% more, which is 1.2, and then it will update the exp needed. So this 10 will go up. It will play the level up sound effect, and it will update your level. And we use that here. So these are my exp nodes. If I wanted to, I could just call this on the player. So when the enemy's dead, it gives exp. Basically what it is, it's casting to the third person character. It is then calling the exp function, which is right here. It's this one that we were talking about. Will then add a random amount of exp between 5 and 10. Remember, you need 10 to level up, so it will give you a random amount of exp based off that, and then it destroys the actors. You can't just like infinitely get exp, but it's that simple. And then I'm using that as a test. Again, is 100% a better way of doing the exp system, because the problems is that it doesn't save. So if you ever die or restart, then you have to start from 0, of course. So there's no save system in it, so there's no way to save that your level or how much exp you have. I never implemented any of that. And then I was using it for this, where as you can see, it gets your level. If your level is lesser or equal to 1. So if you are level 1 or under level 1 and your max HP is 100, then if those conditions are true, then it increases the max HP, right? Which is we already had. And it doing that event tick, so it's checking that each frame, which is horrendously bad, right? I should not be doing that. It's bad. And it's repeating that. So then again, now it's so your max health, so it's adding 100 max health now. So now your max health is 200, right? So if you're level 2 and you have 200 max health, then and those conditions are true, then it will increase your health. And it just keeps on repeating, right? And that's how I was doing it. That pretty much concludes the character blueprint. That's everything in it. And that's how that works. This is the equip gun. So this was, I don't think I ever finished this, but this was just to try and get the UI to work properly or to display properly. So this is again just turning on and off the ammo UI to make the two display properly. But again, it was bugged from the start, so that doesn't work. So now that the character is done, best thing to look at is the weapons, because I experimented a lot with the weapon. 1, 15, 30 guns. All right, so the guns. We already went over how they fire. This is the reload code. So when so each again, so when you click, it's calling this fire event. This fire event is located in the gun script, because I try to do it all in one script. So it's located in the gun script. And there's ways in Unreal that you can have a parent, like a master file, and then a child, and you can assign the stuff to use the child, but I just couldn't really get it to work. In Unity, again, you have a lot more control over things. You could turn things, you can disable things with the code, you can re-enable things with the code, and you can't really do that in Unreal. When you like disable things or turn things off, you just turn them off visually. You don't actually stop the blueprints in the code, and that's what was like really annoying me. And that's why like I ran into a lot of problems and stuff, along with like also collisions and just how to spawn things and all that. So we'll go over this, right? So we'll do a reload because it's right here. So when you click the button in the character reference, it gets this event to reload, and the event to reload is right here. All it's doing is it's getting your ammo. If the ammo is not equal to 0, then and that's the condition. If that's true, do once is reloading. Make sure you're reloading. It plays the sound. It plays the animation montage. Here's the animation montage. It's empty because this is the master file. The character reference has a delay based off the value of the animation montage. It then plays reloading. This is the whole reloading script. We'll get into that in a second. And then it unchecks is reloading because you're not reloading anymore. And then you do once, and then it resets to do once. So do once is to make sure you can't like do it infinitely times, right? And that's the reloading script. And the viewport, just to make sure so everyone sees it, it's just a gun. It's using a skeleton mesh, and it has a barrel on it. The mesh also it's from a Unity pack, and it has different points in the mesh. If I bring it up, different bones in it, which will come into play a bit later. So so the reload event, right? It's doing all this, but what's actually like reloading the gun is this event right here. So what is this event doing? Well, in this function, because I did it all in like kind of tried to do it in functions, this is reload. So what is reload? Well, it's getting my temp ammo. Uh, so I have the current mag and the current mag clamp, and this should always be current mag. Is then getting the ammo, it's subtracting that by the clamp. Or the max ammo I have on this is 36. And this is, again, if you're doing guns and stuff, pro tip, divide everyone by, just make sure every number is divisible by whole numbers. So if it's 36 bullets, that means that like it's has, if it's 36, so this is 36 total, right? Then that means 12 can be in the current mag. 12 can go into 36, essentially, is what I'm saying. So current mag is what you're firing from, and ammo is your reserve, essentially. And that's what it's doing, is it's clamping it. So now so when you take out the current mag, which is 12, and this, then it's updating the ammo, it's updating the current mag. This is just a special node to trigger to see if whether I can have infinite. That's all it is. But that's reload. So current mag is how much the gun holds, and uh, ammo's your reserve, and it's just updating it. It's that simple. Too difficult. It's, again, just math. Fire is, again, also very simple. Uh, when you hit this button, it calls the fire event. This is fire. It checks to see if you are reloading or not. Well, I'm not reloading. It checks to see if your current mag is equal to or not equal to 0 to make sure you have ammo. And if that's true, this is the check to see which mode I'm in. And then depending on which mode I'm in, it will use the correct mode. Go over modes. Stop firing is empty because, again, stop firing, I want nothing to happen. So stop firing is empty. That's why when you let go of it, it calls stop firing. Nothing happens to stop firing. That's exactly what I want. And the last one so do projectile first. Do projectile first because that's how like Unity's Unreal default is. I don't like projectiles. I tried to get to work. I don't think I got to work too well. And normally I was just using hit scan. So projectiles is checks, again, it's a character reference. Getting the is aiming from the character to check to see if I'm aiming or not. If it's true, then it will continue. If it's false, then it will stop. And this is where things get a little bit complicated. So this is the camera ray trace. So actually not this one. We'll do it in the other one. This is the camera ray trace. So this is a line that comes from the camera. And this is the setting, the position. This is the lane trace to make sure it comes from the camera. Then it is taking the break hit node, and it is combining the two with the gun line trace. And this is the line trace that comes, or the ray cast that comes from the gun. And that is starting at the skeleton mesh reference, which is right here, and get socket location, which is muzzle flash, which is a bone on this specific model, right? So that's why I said it came into play later. It is then again making, and it is then adding where the spawn location is for the projectile. This is the code. I think it just comes in Unity that spawns the projectile, and then plays a sound, and then will spawn an effect at the barrel. This is the barrel. Barrel's right there. And then it will call the use ammo function, which is right here, which is I skipped this. So basically, yeah, use ammo basically takes the current mag and the bullets fired, which is how many bullets you are fired. It subtracts it by 1. It then takes the ammo clamp, which is 36. That's how much ammo you can have. That's the max, and it's updating the current mag. So that's use ammo. Use ammo is called at the end of each firing thing to make sure you, again, like you're using your ammo. Very, very simple. And that's how this works. Essentially, it's a little, that's for projectiles, and then for hit scan, it's the same exact thing. But hit scan, now we can actually see it. So it checks to see if you're aiming. It takes the camera raycast, which we will do for duration. It then combines the two with the gun raycast. Excuse me. It will then play the sound. And what is it's doing here is that when it hits an actor, it's applying the damage, and it's using ammo. So it's using ammo, and then on hit, it's grabbing this. This is how you grab this, because I'm using a different types of line trace, an array, and then it'll apply the damage. And then it has its base damage, and it has its damage cause itself. And apply damage again, and then applies to the deal damage node that was in like the health bar. So to see this in action, that's the line trace from the gun, as we can see. And then why isn't it because I didn't compile? Compile. Oh, and this is to make sure that it's hitting the right type of objects. I don't know why it's not showing. It should show. Oh, and range is to make sure it has range. So like here's all the variables right here. And that's to make sure. I don't think I use bullet spread at all. But that's to make sure all the variables and range and everything are right, and base damage. And then that's basically guns. That's how I did it. It's very simple. It's to make sure that it's firing from the camera, is to make sure that the bullets are going, or is to make sure that the one from the gun is lining up. So I want to fire from the center of the camera, but I also want it to be like from the gun. So it's basically, that's how you do it, because it's better to fire from the center of the camera, because that's always going to be the player's relative point, than from the gun, because I was having issues with the gun, and now it's bugging me that this isn't showing up. whatever. I guess, you know, nothing ever really goes my way anyway. So that's that. Oh, I know why it's not showing up. I'm dumb. I'm so sorry. Me from the future. Not showing up because that's the master one and I don't use that one. There we go. So the green line is the one from the camera. And it's kind of bugged, so it's always coming from there. But it makes sure that it's lining it up properly, right? So that's it. That's why. Whoopsie. So that's that. Next, we have uh do the animation blue character. So 130 30 animation blueprint. So the animation blueprint is a headache. It is a real headache. This is kind of what stopped me most of the time. Uh, it's just a pain, and I can see why like third person games are kind of hard to make. Because animations are very very difficult for me, and again as a whole, I think case study entire project that I would do just solo, just trying to figure out good animations, especially now because uh locomotions is like a thing with Unity. If you really know how to can do it, then it could look really cool. You can make some really cool things. But um, you know, I'm me. So this is it. So this is gets the reference, set reference to owner character when the sizes. So this is just getting a reference. The owner, cast a character, character blueprint, character third person blueprint. And then this is event blueprint begin play. Uh, this is also just getting a reference to the character, right? And I think a lot of this stuff is also just by default, it's in there. So you don't have to worry about it too much. Now I should have taken notes. Only updates. Yes. So then I have a sequence because this is going to tie to everything. So off this one, if I'm prone, then it gets a 5-second delay. It grabs the character reference. It grabs the is prone and getting up from the character, and then it makes a reference of those called is prone to and is prone getting up for the animation blueprint. I do that a lot, so that's why I note this here. Is that these are references to the character ones. And then whenever you kind of get animation like is falling, set is falling from the movement component falling state. So this sets the state. Movement component is falling true. So this is a reference. I do it for crouching is crouching, and these are in Unity. And there's a bug that you can get, and that's why this is valid is here. So just add that in case you get the bug. I forget what the bug is, but it's good character reference. It's good is aiming. It's making sure it's valid, and it's making that reference for is aiming too to make sure that it's aiming. And then the pitch offset is an entirely different sort of thing with the animations to make sure that I can do this, that I can like aim up and down. like this. So that's why that's there. Same with the quip. Get this, get a reference, make a reference. So these are all references basically to make sure that when we get into the actual animation graph, it all works. And there's a special thing in Unity now that's like is a control rig or iKey thing. I think this is it, and you just disable that. And I think this originally is like plugged in like right here. So just disable that. So then locomotions. This is the animation state machine. I'm not gonna go over it too much. Real fast. You start, you have your idle. From your idle, you go to standing to crouch. You go to walk run. You go to aim your pistol. You can go to aim your AR. And you can go to prone transition. Walk run, we'll start this. Should moving goes to walk run. Idle, this is the idle animation. Playing. Should moving, if you're not moving, can't or transition. And then this is the ground speed, and the animation. So this should be all default. Stuff after it is not default. So we'll do crouching first. So stand to crouch. If you are idle and is crouching, right? So is crouching equals true, then you go to stand to crouch. And it plays the animation. And it goes into the result. From there, it takes the time ratio, return it. And if it's greater than 0.2, then you enter this transition. And this is the crouch animation, which is the crouch blend space, right? And then your ground speed, which should automatically be in there. And then just does the opposite. If you're not crouching, then it plays the animation. Does the opposite. So now if it is greater than, and now you're in walk to run. And then you can do the other ways too, right? So that's that. Very, very simple. And these are most of the animations are like mostly like kind of blend spaces that you can make. And that's how crouch works. Idle. So if you're trying to go prone, it does the same thing. Is prone. Are you prone? Sure. Goes into prone transition. So these are the animations. This checks the value, see if you're getting up or not. It does the blend space by bool, and then it plays it. And then you are prone. So this is the ground speed. This is the prone animation. Is prone equal to equal? Then you can enter. And that's getting up. And then it's the same thing for to go into the walk as well. Very, very simple. Next is the aim pistol. So if you're aiming the pistol, right, then it gets equipped. It's checking to see if your equipped is equal to 0, which means pistol. And if you're aiming, so it adds the 2, and if that's true, then you can, it goes into the animation of aiming the pistol. So here it is, aiming the pistol. This is the pitch to make sure that you can look up and down. here's the pitch to it, and that's the animation. And then let's say you're going out of it. Wrong one. Is aiming not equal true, and then you're out of it. And it's the same thing for these as well. The only difference between AR is that now it's checking to see if it's 2 or not. And that's basically it with the animation blueprint. It's very, very, again, like I said, janky. Not too welly made. And there's better ways of doing it, and other ways that I would do it again. Again, I think I would just do an entire project just focusing on animations, because they're hard, and they're just hard to do, and they're hard to get right. And I can see why like animators are such in high development, high demand. Yes. And it's the same thing for the AI, which is pretty much the last thing we have to talk about. But before that, one last thing with the animations. So animations, these are the offset animations. You just make one, and it has alt. Control. It has different points, yeah. So to see like how, and that's how I look up and look down, and that's how that works. Again, that's entire like tutorial and video that you can look up to. It's not too hard. These are all the different animations that I have. I have to like convert them over from Maximo animations and retarget them, and there's so many videos about this because it's so complicated and so hard, and no one really wants to do it. This is an animation montage, and this is the animation. These are animation sequences. To convert them, you just right click them, and create new animation montage. And to retarget them, right, I have to hit this retarget, and I have a couple of skeleton IT rigs that you have to make, so I can retarget it to the normal mannequin, and I can retarget it to from the Maximo bot as well, because you have to make new retarget animation. So this is the starter pack animation. These are the blend spaces. This is to blend it all together to make sure that, you know, when I crouch and walking in different directions, that's how it does. Just to get that right. I don't even know works properly. It does. So like that's the blend space. These are from the animation starter kit, actually. Excuse me. Here are my blend spaces. This is my prone blend space that I made earlier, right? And make sure that when you do these, you're changing the name right here to speed. So that will help out a lot when you're putting them in your animation blueprints. But that's basically how I do it. So here's my crouch, and you see it's speed. So different animation blueprints require different things, right? And blend spaces, and then these are all the ones that I converted. I have no clue what that is. I just wanted to check it. These are ones I converted, and as you can see, I have like different animations to make sure, and I just copied them, and you just reposition them to make sure that the AOE, and you can aim up and down correctly. So that's that. And then these are the iKey rigs. This is the rig for the animation. To make sure that I can take one animation and retarget it and put it on another. There are now thousands of videos about it. I don't even want to explain it because I don't even remember how I really did it. But it all takes place with like you just take the bones and you have to rename them all to match. And luckily there's like an auto feature that kind of automatically does it for you. But where are those files? Characters, mannequin, rigs. Yes, like this. That's characters. Maximo. Skeleton. Yeah, I have to like rename all of these or something like that. It's a whole process. Yes, this is it. The iKey bot, where I have to take each one and I have to like rename it over here. It's a whole process. Just to retarget your animations. And again, it's kind of the reasons why I think like third person games are annoying and difficult, and why like animations are just a whole set of things that I would do on my own. So with that, the only last thing to talk about is the AIs. Let's do timestamps. $45, $46. Right. So AI. So this is the AI. This is the first iteration of it. It's a blank copy of the character model, just with things removed. So you'll see things that you'll recognize. The damage system is exactly the same. The damage system is exactly the same with the health, and that's everything the same. Getting punched, so this is the code to get punched. So when actors overlap, those are the hit markers on the character's hands. Cast a third person blueprint. It is getting punched. If it's true, then it plays the sound. It has a delay to it, and it will apply damage. And this is the damage for the punches. So it was doing 5 damage, and they have 100 health, I believe. Yeah, so that's why it was taking forever. I cut this up. AI death. So this custom event is AI death. When an AI dies, it will play the sound at location. It will then do an animation montage of 2 different animations of death animations, just to give it some flavor to randomize it. It will pick a random one of the 2, and then we'll have a delay of it of 0.5 seconds, and then it destroys the actor. And this is called right here. So if the health is 0, right, and the damage thing, if it's true, then it'll call AI dead. If it's not true, then it will do this animation montage, which is it getting hit, right? So that's why when I shoot it, it plays that little hit function because it's not dead. But when it dies, it will play one of the death animations. It will go down, and it will die. So that's all this. And then the getting punch is also this, right? Because it's taking damage, it's playing that code. That's all that. We're not going to start detection yet or stop chase or anything like that, because that's when it gets a little bit more complicated. And then the AI itself has some special features to make sure that I was trying to get it to like aim properly and shoot properly. Uh, but I ran into problems where like this one wasn't working. It was a copy of the player class, it just wasn't working. You also need a pawn sensory and an AI sensory. So it just wasn't really working, right? So I had to do something different, which is I made a new uh, character called AI test. And that's AI. This is AI test. So it's a little bit more complicated, but not by much. Um, this code right here is just simple. It spawns the EXP object that drops that gives you experience. Technically, I could cast it directly to the third person character. So when the character dies, it just automatically gives you EXP, but I just did a simple, a little item that just drops. All this is the same, exact same we just talked about. Only difference is now I got uh all this working. What is all this? Well, it is essentially the code that makes you follow it. So this code kind of has a couple parts, and this is the code where I think that if I need to redo the entire thing and start from using Unity's AI blueprints, which should be this. No, but I will need that to show off what's happening. Um, it should have been this. So the behavior tree. I should have learned and start to experiment it with the behavior tree. Because I didn't do that, I ran into some issues later on. So we're gonna get the character blueprint too. One. Character blueprint. We're gonna need this. AI detected. So this UI, so what this system does, it's the final system, is that when I get close, you see there's a little like marker to indicate that I'm getting detected. I'm detected. He now starts activating, running at me, shooting at me. Time slows down. All the above. Everything happens. It's chaotic, crazy, right? All these AIs start chasing me. But if I run away and I lose, yeah. If I run away, right? I'm already dead, by the way. But if I run away and I lose line of sight, then they will de-aggro and they'll stop chasing me. Except for that dude. That dude's a genius. Bring him over here. Trying to like. I don't know why that one's so smart. That's actually kind of funny now. Alright, let's bring him over here. Trying to get them all to de-aggro on me. Not just. Yeah, they'll de-aggro me. That's a bug. It's a very interesting bug. So they shouldn't be following me. They should just stop. Um, but all that code's here. So this is the code that is getting the detection gauge and showing it on the characters UI and expanding it. So it's getting a direction reference. It's getting the reference to the progress bar. It's showing it. It's the event start detection, event stop detection. These are located here in this special little script that I have going here. And both of these functions are completely empty. They're just functions that make sure that I have it. So they're all located here. In case you're wondering. Um where that's from. And again, I got this from the dude I mentioned earlier. Great resource. I can't thank him enough. This is how I learned it. But going in the future, I would totally do it through the behavior tree. It's probably a much better habit and easier to do. So it sets up a condition, it sets up the AI and the target, it sets the visibility, it does the fill timeline, so that's the animation to fill up the progress bar by the percentage, and then it will start the chase. Again, located here. Uh, or it will stop the chase, and it will reset the fill UI bar and the AI. So this is the code that starts the AI detection. The actual code that does like the AI that allows you to chase the player is here. So on pawn C, you need the pawn sensory to get this. If detection is on, right? So if this now is detected, this so it makes it here. So if detection is on, that condition is true, then it starts a sequence and it makes a delay. So this is how it aggroes like on and off. Do it once, should chase. They're all booleans, they're in there. It will start to chase, it will start the detection, right? Which is also located here. So we'll start this event and everything just kind of flows together. I can't really explain it as like more than that, and just to show you like how everything works. There is one thing I know you have to do. Maybe it's here in the blueprint. You have to add these functions to the blueprint. And I'm forgetting how. God, I'm really wishing I remembered how. Because if you don't add this script to one of these blueprints, and I'm pretty sure it's the character one, then you can't make these functions. Because you see how it says event start from detection blueprint? Now it's gonna bug me. Let's see if we can find this video. Actually, now it's gonna bug me. I want to say his stuff is like, it's not even that old. Yeah, okay, AI detection system. That's 3, 2, 1. That's him making the UI. I'm setting up the AI. Start detected. So I miss it. I swear you have to like add it, like it knows where those references are. Maybe you don't. Maybe I'm wrong. I just see him pull it out. I just want to make sure. Here we go. All right, so I'm right. Ah, okay. So there it is. So to make sure that it's the interface is there, you have to go to class settings. And in class settings, right here, you can add the interface. So that's where it is. Good thing I caught that because uh that's a pain. That's like the important part. Otherwise, you can't access these events in the player script. But and because I knew you have to implement it, I just didn't know where. So anyway, it does that. This is the simple script to get the AI to move. Um, how I have it though is that after you should chase, where with this true node, you just connect it there. I have a slow function. This is a special this event um is right here, so this is where it's called an event, so it slows time when detected. It does it once. It sets the global time dilation, which is a special Unity thing. It delays it, and then it sets it back to normal. And that is all. And I call that when you get caught. So when you get caught, it slows time. It calls this, right? Here, this is the start chase run AI detection. So when you get caught, it starts chasing. And when you lose AI, it clears it. So when it clears it, Um, the move AI will stop moving or it'll go to your last location. That's what it should do. And then it does the clear focus. And this is this clear focus. This is when I would say like I would do it the other way, and not in the blueprint. So set focus is what I use to uh make sure that the AI is aiming at you, making sure that it aims at you and it shoots at you. That's what set focus does. And as you can see, like once the AI starts moving, it sets focus, so it looks at you. It gets a reference of itself. It's a reference to the player. It does the line trace. It has a delay on the fire, so it doesn't just kill you instantly, but it still does. And it applies damage, and it makes sure that it is aiming, and that's for animation purposes if I were to continue and try and debug this stuff, right? Um, but once it loses aggro, it clears focus, and it resets the do once, so you can go back in time. Or you can slow time. And with that, you get all of this. So now time slows, right? And you can see the line trace, and they're aiming, and they're shooting. But this one didn't aggro for some reason. He completely broke. I don't know why. Bang, 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 bang. I know I'm dead, by the way. Anyway, and that's it. Like that's all of this project. I already talked about, right? Like what I learned, what I liked, what I didn't like, some goals, what I would do differently, how I would change it. Obviously, it's super buggy. I did want to like kind of complete it, where like I want to build out a level at least. Um, uh, I wanted to uh add the animations, add the sounds, and that's all neat peaky stuff. Like even when I was working on Running Gun, we didn't do a lot of the sound effects and stuff till later. And luckily we had a team of people, and certain people could tackle different projects. But so like for example, in Running Gun, we'd have one person entirely working on it, one person entirely working on code, another person entirely working on level stuff, and that's how game design should be. And I just wanted to do this project to keep trying to make games, even though I'm out of school. I'm not in that environment. I have to. It's more not to get a grade, but it's more to do it for myself, which is a lot harder. And I still want to make games. I still want to professionally. So I still have to do these tiny little projects and trying to be. But it takes a lot of time. And why I'm job hunting, still looking for work, is it's very, very, still very difficult. But I think doing these streams, talking about the references, talking about what I've learned, talking about how I've done it, who my resources are, my thought process, especially for me, um, in the future, is super helpful. And that's why I did this stream. That's why I also did on Not a Sport, for it's Not a Sport gaming content. Um, it's very difficult now. I've talked about in the update video, where if I want to grow and get big on YouTube, entertainment's the way to go. But things like this, people don't find interesting. It's a very niche, small audience. But so I will continue to do very entertaining videos, but I also want to do stuff like this and show off my work, and just because that was the point of the channel initially, is to show off that I am serious about game design, and try and make a career out of it. But this is it. This is the first like Unreal Engine project. Of course, it can keep going. It can keep growing. I would, if I was to continue this, I would completely scrap the UI, and redo the AI from scratch, and redo the bots, and just try and make them a little bit more efficient and make it a little smarter. It's funny because these are the exact same issues that we ran into with Running Gun. A lot of his time went into making the AI smart and efficient and just feel good. So uh, I would do that, and then build a level, make a little game as well. and then try and fix animations, add sounds, etc., and resources like that. Anyway, I hope you like this the stream, this video. If you end up watching it, I hope it ends up being helpful. I hope it ends up being helpful for me in the future as well. This project is done. I haven't worked on it in like a couple months. I don't intend to work on it. I want to work on the next one, see where that one goes, see how I can do that, because I really like that idea. I think it's cool, and try and focus on that and make something new and really go back to Unity and just learn it more. Really try and improve my coding skills and my thought process on how to think like a game developer coding, or like a coder. That's really why I think Unity is better, is because it lets you make something and learn skills and develop good habits while doing it. But I do like Unreal a lot, and I do think it's a very powerful tool, and I would love to make an actual game in it one day, because games like Valorant are made in it, and I actually have this open by accident. I actually have this stream open on the side from Unreal, talk about Valorant and how it's made, and you get to see like, but they use like so many different types of different things, and so many, and like it's very a heavily modified version of Unreal. So you ever wonder like what like Valorant looks like behind the scenes, right, with hitboxes and stuff like that? They show it off right here, where like that's the hitbox, and they talk about this, and I haven't even gotten through this video yet. I plan to very, very soon. So that's gonna be in the stream. Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Hope this is helpful. This has been your host, Salty Waffles, signing off, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful